The world of video games offers players endless adventure and possibility. With engaging storylines, exciting virtual worlds, active communities of diverse people, and lovable characters. But sometimes all of that excitement can become overwhelming and obsessive, turning players into brainwashed meat sacks that feel as though they need the game to survive.
Hello friends, we are in an era in which mobile phones have taken over our lives. We are in a COVIDian age in which education has gone online. And most of us, kids as well as the parents, are using either mobile phones or laptops or tablets to ensure that the children are given proper education these days. The culture of the time has changed, wherein we used to tell our children not to use mobile phones too much. Nowadays, they cannot do without it because their education is online. At the same time, an evolution has taken place in the field of education. Now the education has gone online. And all parents desire that their children should get proper education, and they try to procure the best smartphones possible for the education of the children. Even the time that the children spend the time in online platform for socialization and gaming has changed. Along with online education, a voice has come and crept into the system of the children today. That is the voice called online gaming. Yes, this is an area in which we have to take a lot of care to our children that they don't fall a prey to online gaming and they don't become an dependent and addict to these gaming patterns. The children and the adolescents engage themselves in online platform and gaming. And so today, I would like to tell you something about the online gaming and the serious matters that parents and the kids should know about it. Nowadays, the online platform is the new normal. The pandemic has changed the perspectives on the use of this platform. Nowadays, study, work, purchase, entertainment, everything is controlled by online platforms. Therefore, two things which have become a very necessary factor in our life is the internet and the mobile phone. 30% of the people play internet and online gaming. But are all these games very dangerous? I would say no. There are some casual games which, like Candy Crush, which we used to play when we were waiting for a doctor's consultation, or when we were waiting at a bus stop, or waiting at the lab to get the results. Yes, we used to see many people playing Candy Crush and games such which are very, very casual and common. But the second type of game, that is the survival games, are very, very dangerous and addictive. They are the villains. We have learned about Charles Darwin, wherein he speaks about in his theory of evolution about the survival of the fittest. All these online gamings also put forward this same principle of the survival of the fittest, in which the games are designed in such a way that a person who plays the game moves forward from one level to another only if he is able to survive. Only those who can survive and those who will survive are considered to be people who are fit. It's called the survival of the fittest. In ancient times, our forefathers fought against all odds of life, odd weather, wild animals, deadly creatures, and they survived. These gamings also are designed in the same pattern of the survival technique. These games consist of different levels. A person who plays this game has to cover each of these levels by fighting, killing, and defeating his enemies. The survival games are usually played in a group. They are massive games wherein the game developer has assigned certain roles to every individual. They turn to addiction, knowingly or unknowingly. More than addiction, it is dependency, so to say, says WHO, World Health Organization. Now let us see what World Health Organization says about such kind of dependencies.
Gaming disorder is a particular pattern of gaming behavior, be it offline or online gaming behavior, and we are talking here about digital or video gaming, when this pattern has some very specific characteristics. One of them is impaired control over gaming. The second one is that the gaming behavior takes precedence over other daily activities and interests of a person, to the extent that it results in impaired functioning or distress. And what is important, that this behavior continues in spite of these negative consequences. But it's really a very small proportion of people who are involved in gaming behavior, and it's critical to emphasize that gaming disorder is not equivalent to gaming behavior. It's very different things. When the behavior is becoming dominating the whole life of a person, and that's why for particularly this is an issue for parents, for families, be attentive to how much time, in what circumstances are being spent on gaming, to what extent these gaming behaviors start to interfere with other activities, with functioning at school, at university, with functioning as a family member, as a friend, as a person with previous different interests. And in most cases, the duration of these consequences should be at least 12 months. I want to emphasize that a diagnosis of a gaming disorder can be only made by a health professional specifically trained in making such assessment. People who are engaged regularly in gaming activities need to be aware that gaming activity may not only in some individuals lead to the development of gaming disorder, but also that it may have some other negative consequences for health, in terms of disturbing the sleep patterns, in terms of physical activity, because normally gaming behavior is associated with very low level of physical activities, also in terms of the nutrition. It's been included as a result of a consensus of experts who were involved in development of 11th revision of classification for mental and behavioral disorders. And the main reason for that is not only the scientific evidence available that this is becoming an issue, but also because of the demand for treatment and demand for recognition of this condition by health professionals, when there could be more research implemented, when some preventive activities could be done, and when in fact attention to this type of behavior could be devoted in terms of potential health consequences.
Dependency is a feeling that one cannot do without it. Yes, a person who plays such survival games comes to a stage in which he or she feels that he or she cannot do without it. Why this dependency come? For this, we have to know a bit of brain chemistry. When we eat tasty food, when we have a favorite friend met, or when we play our favorite game, they are things that gives us happiness. When we do such things, there is a neurotransmitter, that is the dopamine, in our brain which gets activated. The more we do the pleasurable things, those things which gives us happiness, more dopamine is created and it triggers the brain. Dopamine is, so to say, is said to be the pleasure principle of the brain that stimulates pleasure. This makes the activity that you do pleasurable and memorable, so you would want to do it again and again, where you feel the urge to do it more and more, and so by and large you become dependent. The video games are designed to be stimulating, exciting, and producing more and more dopamine into your brain. And so it also becomes a reason why we become so dependent on gamings. I would say that there are 3 stages that a gamer will undergo in his life as he enters into the field of gaming. In the beginning, as anyone would enter, he enters just for fun. The second stage is that he enters into gaming, so to say, in order to get a temporary relief from maybe he has failed in the examination, he cannot face such a situation. He has to temporarily get escape from such a situation. Therefore, he gets a temporary relief in the gaming. They do it as a tension releasing strategy. And so it becomes a method of escapism from the real life problems. The third stage is a stage of insensitivity. A person who enters into online gaming is no more satisfied with first, second and third stages of the gaming. He has to have much more pleasure, much more engagement, much more power and much more weapons. There was a time in which a person used to get happiness while playing football, or maybe doing a TikTok, or talking with his friends and family members, but such things no more gives him happiness. Such things no more gives him pleasure. Therefore, the only thing they get satisfied is by playing online games. The dopamine pathways slowly get developed so much strong into our brain that no other things give much happiness than playing an online game. Whatever they were doing earlier do not give them happiness anymore. So they think of going into a higher levels. Now, what is the strategy that the gamers follow while designing a game? The strategy that the gamers follow while designing a game is that they give the idea to the players that this is not an easy thing to survive, and they need more power, more weapons, more time of play, more concentration, etc. So each stage consisting of more challenges to face. After each stage is passed, the child feels that he has achieved something, good appreciation and rewards. When a child does not get a reward from his school or from his home, and when he is abundantly given the rewards in an online platform, he goes into it, he falls for it. But seldom such appreciations are given to the child in a family atmosphere. But wherein in the virtual world, he is given such an appreciation in abundance. Therefore, he falls for it. In an online gaming, one who plays the game gains control over his own life. He is the king and the kingmaker. He can decide what he has to do and what dress he has to wear, what weapons he has to carry, etc. He uses his freedom to the maximum. External pressure or so-called peer pressure plays a major role in making a person dependent in this game. His friends will be pushing him. His friends will be telling him, why not buy another weapon so that you can also become very powerful. We have this weapon, why don't you have that weapon bought? Therefore, he is forced to steal money from his parents and do online purchase of these weapons, and he becomes and he tries to become a hero. While playing this online game, they plunge into wrong friendships, wherein they don't really play with only friends who are known to them, but there are friends in the online gaming platform who enter into the online game with their fake profiles. There may be people who are playing from Mexico, from Kenya, with whichever parts of the world. But not all who play this kind of game will become dependent or addicted. There are some risk factors that affect the individual, including his biological makeup, his psychological setting, his personality disorders, the family and societal issues that he faces, etc. Now, how do we identify a person whether he is a game dependent? I will tell you 9 points which can be considered as an indicators for identifying a person as a game dependent or not. The first point is this: they always think about games during every other activity. How to win, how to go to the next step, how to go to next level, etc. They will be always thinking about the game and game. The second is that they show withdrawal symptoms when not able to play a game, such as throwing things, getting tensed, getting angry, etc. for no reason at all. They show withdrawal symptoms while not able to play such games. They display undue tension and anger, etc. There comes a stage of insensitivity and a need to play more and more violent games to get the desired amount of satisfaction. And fourthly, even when a person feels that he is into more gaming and he has a desire to stop gaming, still he is not able to do that. A kind of failure in the decision takes place. He wants to stop game, at the same time he stops game for a few days, then enters into the same game more frequently after a few days. Fifthly, those things which a child used to find satisfaction is no longer satisfying him. Sixthly, even when the world is turning around him with a lot of problems and issues, maybe family problems, that the problems that he faces in school, failure in subjects, etc., still he goes on playing the game and gets the satisfaction that he wants to get out of that. He is totally cut off from the real world. And seventh point is that when questioned about the time that a person spends on game, he completely negates. He tends to lie. When he is asked about how many hours are you spending in games, he or she would say, don't you know that I was only playing the game for half an hour and the rest of the time I was studying. Excuses and lies would be a common factor in such people who are dependent on games. Eighthly, a sense of guilt play a major role, and they feel guilty for having come to such a stage of life. They feel guilty for acting rudely to parents and their siblings, breaking objects, etc., etc. In order to cover this feeling of guilt, they go on and on to play the game over and over. And finally, they are too involved in the gaming that they get into loads of grades, job, and even relationships. Now, what are the after effects of game addiction? I would say that they spend sleepless nights and they get sleeping disorders, and they are under much mental pressure and anxiety and peer pressure. Depression invades, and there arises even suicidal tendencies. Another after effect of this game dependency is that they feel tiredness of body, obesity, eye problems due to long hours of screen time, migraine headaches, going down in studies, undue anger, and for any simple matter they get frustrated and always in clouds. Lack of personal hygiene and regularly say lies and steals money. What's the way forward? That's what our interest is all about. The best time to develop good habits is in the childhood days. Therefore, we must teach our young children healthy use of internet and get help from experts and teachers to educate the children in the right use of technology and the internet. Another way we can protect our children is through using Google Family Link. It's a digital app. It's an online well-being application wherein the parent has a control over the online activity of the child. Not all games are equally threatening. So choose some casual games which does not put you into addiction. So instead of negating a child from gaming, it is better that we teach him responsible way of dealing with the same. And it's better to allow a public area for doing online activities of the children and the kids. Create an awareness of the digital hygiene that they have to practice. They should know what to see and what not to see. They should know what game to play and what not to play. They should know which sites to visit and which not to. That is what I mean by digital hygiene. Dear parents, make sure that your digital banking details are maintained out of the reach of the children. And very important is that we come to know the friends of our children, the friends with whom they play the games. Be on the lookout for symptoms that are shown regarding the game dependencies. When felt needed and necessary, you shouldn't feel bad to seek out for help of the professionals such as a counselor or a psychiatrist or a psychologist. Please make sure to fulfill their basic needs of providing a peaceful, homely atmosphere. Provide a loving and appreciating home. Provide opportunities for open discussion and communication. Encourage healthy activities and exercises at home. Involve them in decision making and assign them roles depending on their age and capabilities. Train them up in financial discipline and provide positive environment to put forward their best in their career development and the development of their overall personality. Thanks a lot. God bless you. Let us use wisely and prudently the online gadgets that we have at home and train our children and train our next generation, especially in this COVIDian era, to be responsible citizens, to be responsible children. Thank you.